Hi everyone, my name is Fabiana da Silva Boyce. Welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. The topic today is self-confidence. And as I told you guys in my previous videos, I've been sharing a lot how cancer has taught me so many different lessons. And one of the lessons that I've learned is how to love myself the way I am. So I'm gonna give you guys some background history so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So back in Brazil, when I was born and during my childhood, my perception of what was beautiful was very different from what I look like, right? So just to give you guys an example, um, when I think about my dolls, right? I always had Barbies, right? Love them all. But I had never seen a Barbie that looked like me, right? So you have to think that this is like back in Brazil in the 80s, 90s. There was no such thing, right? So the only Barbie that you could get is the Barbie that we already know, the standard, right? Another example that I could give to you guys is, for example, the person who I admired was a TV show woman that I still love, but again, blue eyes, straight blonde hair, and those were the only type of show women that you would have in Brazil. So there was no way that I could see myself in that pattern. And the only way that perhaps I was able to be closer to what beauty was, according to what it was presented to me, was to straighten my hair, right? And that was fine, and I was totally okay with it. I was taught kind of that like when you have your hair all straight you look more presentable. Let's put it this way. And that's how I was until I was diagnosed with cancer, right? And once I was diagnosed with cancer, I know it may sound super silly, but of course I was worried about chemo and all the other crazy stuff that went on while I was getting the treatment. But also something that I was very concerned was my hair, right? Because I was like, okay. So what am I gonna do? Right? To still feel pretty, to still feel confident about who I was. And of course, in the beginning, I was super creative, right? So I used to wear, to have beautiful scarves over my head, right? And I love them all. So I had like white, blue, green, black, one for every occasion, right? And then, of course, while I was still bald, they all fit perfectly. They matched my shoes, awesome, right? But then my hair started growing, and I was like, okay, I'll have to go back to work, right? And I was still doing chemotherapy. So I was like, you know what? I need to start uh, wearing some wigs. And as you guys can imagine, I couldn't really accept myself. Like I couldn't really accept the another different perception of beauty, which is my curly hair, right? So my hair started growing and I was like, okay, I will put a little cap and I'll start wearing different wigs, right? So of course, from Monday to Friday, I would wear the black one and super cute bangs because I thought it was super cute and I still think they are. So I started buying like straight ones, right? With highlights, of course, or some curly ones, super crazy. And then it got to a point that my hair grew so much. And I don't know if you guys know, but for women, hair is everything. It's kind of like a religious thing for all of us. We love having like we love playing around with our hair for girls, right? And then once the wig started getting super tight because my hair was growing so much, I was like, how am I gonna go to my work with a curly hair, right? So that was my concern, one of my concerns, right? So first, how I would go to work, how others would perceive me. Remember that what I was, I can't say what I was taught, but my perception of beauty was still straight hair. And there was no way that after having cancer, I would put any chemicals in my hair just because I was very scared. I still think that straight hair is beautiful. But I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the time for me to embrace myself. This is the time for me to really embrace the curls, right? And I spent the entire summer kind of like, how is it going to be? Really thinking through how people would perceive me, how the other teachers would look at me, how my students would look at me, right? And what I realized is that we're beautiful the way that we are. Sometimes we project so much on what others will think about us. End of the day, it doesn't matter, because those who truly care about us and those who love us will embrace our beauty and will make sure that we'll feel loved, cared, powerful, and beautiful the way that we are. So it turned out that my colleagues were amazed at how much hair I had and how much hair I was hiding for so long, right? Almost 3 years, I would say. My students gave me a lot of support also, and during my lunchtime they used to come to me like, wow, Mrs. Silva, I love your hairstyle. So, and some also even think that that was just a new wig that I was wearing. So that was a kind of funny, right? So my advice for today is, it took me almost 3 years and a half to really embrace myself, to really embrace my natural beauty. And my advice for you today is to be yourself and do you. Don't really worry too much about what others think, because you're never gonna be able to please everyone, and you shouldn't be concerned about pleasing others, but pleasing yourselves. So some hints that I used to love myself more and to embrace who I was number one, make sure that you're surrounded by people who will find in you things that you cannot even find. People who will point out all the beautiful things that you have in you, so that sometimes we forget, right? So just giving this example, of course I'm giving the example of my hair, but you can apply to whatever you know that you have to raise your self-esteem, right? So in my case, people cheered me up when I was wearing the headscarves. People cheered me up when I was wearing the wigs. People cheered me up when I had my wild curls out. So what I'm trying to say is that those who are there for you, the ones who truly care for you and about you, they will be there no matter what. And we have to use their strength so that we can build our self-esteem and embrace who we are, embrace who we want to be. Second, I would say try to get away from social media and TV. Like in the past, we used to say like get away from magazines, right? Because they have a stereotype of beauty that it's almost impossible for us mere human beings to follow. And I guess also with this number two comes that every time that you're sitting there scrolling up and down and seeing all things that you know it's kind of like it's not who you are, you're wasting time to accomplish things that you could do for yourself. And that goes with number three, which is exercise. And I know that everybody knows that like doing exercises every day is something that is good, right? I'm not gonna preach on something that everybody knows. And the last one, the last advice that I would give is helping others. You may not believe in that, but every time that you know that you're doing something to help somebody else, when you look back in the mirror, you do feel good, because you know that you were able to be a valuable source, or be that you were able to be there for somebody who needed when the person actually needed. So those are my pieces of advice for today. Love yourself. Do you. Do not worry too much about what others think, because first, you're never going to be able to please everyone. Second, you don't want to please everyone because you need to please yourself first. You're beautiful, and I'll see you next week. And if you like this message, please don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Bye, everyone.